Ministers of State, honorable lecturers of the various faculties, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think I prefer the lady. I prefer the lady. You want to enjoy it.
In spite of all these, Anita, what does that make of us? Anita, mi frauti unti. Anita si mi yenu papa. Mi yenu papa susuke. In spite of all these, but she's getting too fair. Yanja sani amanu samana enye. Osi oya mi bawo iti maminka. Echi yo ngometi na ka se mi yehu papa. Anita.
We end up with poverty. We end up with the worst possible things. We end up with the image. I don't have to tell you the image that you have in Africa. I don't have to tell you. Listen, when I was in office as an Air Force pilot, I went to school and trained in the cities. When I became an Air Force pilot, I had the opportunity to travel around the country. That's when I saw there is a big difference between those of us living in the cities and the mass people who feed us living in the rural areas. My brother, you listen to me carefully. The water they drink in those rural areas is such that the water you use to flush your toilet, the water we use to flush our toilet in the cities is much cleaner than the water they drink in the villages. No clinics, no hospitals, etc. No headache, no needles to even sew their clothes. That's when I began to see that the parasitic relationship between our cities and this thing. I mean, I've seen too much injustice in my country when I decided enough was enough. When some of us began to decide that something has to be done about it. When we emerged into political office, you know something? Electricity used to be limited to only 27% of the country. In the shortest possible time, we were able to, with Italian assistance, we were able to extend electricity from 27 to almost 87% of the rest of the country. We were able to extend roads. The infrastructure was improved every part of the country. I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, the energy now goes to every part of the village. Children can now go to school and can learn at night, so that my children living in the city will not have an advantage over that child in the village. My child has no superior, was not born with anything superior than that child in the village. But so long as that child in the village is denied and deprived of electricity to learn at night and good water, etc., my child in the city will always have the advantage over the ones in the rural areas. I've been to school where rural students were doing better with the passage of time than those of us in the cities. Please, I know the potential of humanity. So when you're talking about the effects of some of these things, sometimes, you know, these superpowers must learn to accommodate and to live and to accept patriotic leadership, patriotic citizens. Too often, they're happier with people who are not patriots. Businessmen, you have good businessmen, and I respect them. But some of your bad businessmen are always doing bad things on our continent. And it's our people who suffer. This kind of thing must stop. Your governments must begin to wake up to help us, to help to police and to maintain the integrity of economic policies and economic practices in my country. Your country must help us to protect the judiciary in my country. Your country must help us to police and to monitor and to protect the political integrity in our continent.
Economic power lying in the hands of the people of this country.
Papa J. Move back. You can't get this man. Go back. Okay, J. Move back, move back. Right. Where down, sir. Move back. Charlie. Badash.
Tell them to move back.
Charlie. They say you should move back, please. You move back. Charlie, Yazi. Make sure you move. Make sure you go with them. Go with them.
Now today that's nothing to do with.
Charlie.
Yes, just go. Go back. He said go back. It's very simple. Listen to common English. Go back. Hey, Africans, we are
This man, we can't get this man again.
Block them.
Okay, hey, Charlie, don't go. Okay, you go. Make fast. Papa J. Chama Safe journey, eh? Drive safe, sir. God bless you. We are proud of you. Ghana is proud of you. This man, you can't get it.
Maybe one of the most critical people about certain aspects of his government. But I will never deny him nor any man the praise for outstanding achievements, and for Dr. Nkrumah in particular, the things that made him a great figure in history. On this 32nd anniversary of Ghana's Republic Day, we are laying Dr. Nkrumah's remains to rest at the site of his greatest triumph.
The instability of Liberia is affecting the stability of the sub-region. It's making it difficult to attract investment. It's making it difficult, to improve the image of Africa. So I'm suffering, not indirectly, directly, both through the contribution of my troops to bring about stability and through the fact that, look, it's creating a wrong perception of Africa. So we have a moral obligation to do what we can to bring about the necessary stability, because we're all being judged, all of us, despite the efforts we're making.
But frankly, I just don't think it's fair and right that Liberia, that used to be, a former colony of America, should have degenerated into a carnage of that kind. No Western country lifted a hand to assist her. And yet she didn't actually need that much. But when it comes to the European theater, The whole of Europe, NATO, the US, everybody pumps in all the necessary resources.
Early this year, the world was struck, as you know, by a pandemic whose effects eventually affected every facet of our lives. Despite the interventions from state institutions to alleviate the plight of the underprivileged, there is still a lot to be done by all of us in our very own communities to support the most vulnerable groups. The health force across the country, some of whom have been infected with the virus, in the line of duty have taught us a sense of purpose, selflessness, commitment, dedication, and patriotism. I commend all health workers as well as all other frontline workers for proving equal to the task in this defining moment of ours. Fellow compatriots, we have hurt our own by institutionalizing corruption for far too long, giving a little few the access to amass wealth at the risk of the livelihood of the ordinary people who are languishing in poverty and misery.